Hello. That screen's really wonky, isn't it? Can I be bothered? No, I can't be bothered doing anything about it. Okay. So, I am still reading the Edmund Cooper collection, Tomorrow Came. I am loving this beautiful little panther book more and more as I go through it. And this review is for number 7, which is called The First Martian. Now, if you're reading this book and you don't want spoilers, I suggest you go away. Jake from Pulp Mortem especially, I know you said you were about to start this. If you haven't read number 7 yet, maybe come back to this video later. In many regards, you can't actually spoiler it because it is more about its narration than anything else, but still, I'm not holding back on this one, is what I'm saying. It's a sweet and wistful story. I would normally think it was overly sentimental, and I don't know that anyone in his entire writing life has accused Edmund Cooper of being sentimental. So I don't know where this comes from exactly, but I did love it. I also am not all that fond of overt sentimentality usually, but I did enjoy this story. I read it, I went away, I thought about it, I came back, I reread it. So I've read this story in total about 3 different times. So you learn as the basic history of the story as a backflash. It manages not to feel like an info dump. It manages to feel like it's very much incorporated into the story. I appreciate the way he did that. It's almost like he wants to tell us the history as much as he wants to show us the story itself. So, Mars was settled in 1970, which is an amazingly hopeful prediction for 1962 when this volume was published. Terraforming was in progress, and then had worked well by year 10, which was around about when the first Martian, David Wolfe, was born. Now, 2 things in this story that Cooper has done in previous stories from this collection, which is still the only collection of stories by Cooper that I've read, though there will be more in the future, I suspect. He gives Mars a breathable, although thin, atmosphere, and he's done that in another one here as well, so that his protagonists can come out of the spaceship straight away without worrying about air, and then colonists can fall to their knees upon arrival, which is kind of evocative and cute. The other thing he does is he makes the colonization an international affair. So, as someone commented in one of the previous stories, it's nice that that Edmund Cooper still believed the UN was going to be such a force for good for uniting the world back in 62. Apparently he does. The colonists on Mars came from a host of different countries, and Cooper discusses how they've given up all previous allegiances to countries or anywhere else in order to become Martian colonists. However, it is to New York on the New Year's Eve of 1999 to 2000 that the 19-year-old firstborn Martian, David Wolfe, is brought as a gesture that's very much been devised with political aims on the part of the mayor of New York, the president of America, I'm not sure, one of those things. Political. Anyway, it's not regarded as a treat by David, who didn't choose to come. It's not talked about in the story as a kindness, but rather as a cruelty almost. And David is 19 in Earth years, and he's overwhelmed and confused by the experience. From the second that Martian Dawn, I think is the name of the rocket, lands on Earth, he is jostled and grabbed and pushed around. He's surrounded by people, more people in a crowd than he's used to the entire population of Mars. He's taken to the White House, he's talked about schedules. No one really gives him a chance to be him, and that establishes the central theme of this story, which I believe is alienation and the feeling of being alien in a place where you belong. I thought that was done really well, extensively with every paragraph. So after having been jostled and pulled and pushed around and taken to the White House, he goes back to and treated with some contempt by many parties. He goes back to the hotel, he locks himself in the bathroom, and when he next looks out, he sees that the room's empty, and he escapes. And he is thinking of it as an escape. He doesn't want to be around these people. So he gets dressed, he goes down, starts wandering on his own through the streets of New York, seeing all the people, And you see this through the eyes of someone who feels alienated and separate from everything, but it's very evocative, once again, that word. I really like the way it's described. Eventually, snow starts falling, as Cooper puts it, the strange snow of Earth, and he follows footsteps in the snow to this open area, which we know as Central Park, though David Wolfe doesn't know what it is. And there he makes his first real connection with a human being on planet Earth. Now, on its own, there's not a lot to this story. It's all descriptive, and it's all evocative, and it's all pretty damn sentimental. But I really like the narrative. I like the theme of being lost in a place where you're meant to belong, of having no agency in your life. But I think the conclusion might be of how a connection to another person can be the single most important thing that happens to you. So on page 80, Cooper writes, "She was a stronger reason for crossing 50 million miles of darkness than any statesman's vision of solar unity." Beautiful writing. So this one stayed with me so much. And every time I reread it, the symbolism of alienation and stranger in a strange land, sorry, I had to do it, comes through more and more. And I do wonder, in fact, if this is a commentary in some way on Stranger in a Strange Land. I can't, let's just see. Stranger in a Strange Land by Robert A. Heinlein came out a couple of years before this collection was published, 1962. I don't know if it's meant to be a commentary or if it's meant just a theme that was so beloved of sci-fi writers of the day that the First Martian kept being done. But whatever it was a great story. I loved it. Thank you for watching.